Ryan Reynolds took off his Deadpool suit, looked straight into the camera, and the expression on his face sent the entire internet into a frenzy. Because the moment Ryan Gosling's name was announced for Ghost Rider, every single eye in that room turned to one place: Reynolds' reaction. Some called it joy. Others are calling it jealousy. But what actually happened goes back much further, and it's far more complicated than a single clipped reaction. Today we're unpacking the whole story, where the facts end and where the theories begin. I'm Amelia Brown, and on this channel we dig into the biggest questions in celebrity culture, without making up a story to get there. Today's story: the decade-long tension between Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds, reignited live at San Diego Comic-Con.
I don't know, Ryan Reynolds was wearing a shirt with your face on it in that Deadpool 3 trailer. What was your reaction to that?
I mean, I just want my shirt back.
Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con was packed wall-to-wall when Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige stepped on stage and announced a name fans had been waiting years to hear: Ryan Gosling, the new Ghost Rider. But this wasn't some random casting decision. According to reporting from the event, Gosling had reportedly been chasing this role since at least 2022. And when he finally got it, he didn't show up empty-handed. Feige himself confirmed that Gosling arrived with a specific vision pulled directly from the comics, already knowing exactly how he wanted to portray the character. Here's where it gets interesting. Ryan Reynolds was in that room too, still in his Deadpool costume, fresh off his own segment just moments earlier. Multiple accounts from the panel describe him cheering Gosling on, visibly supporting the announcement. That's the confirmed part. Everything that comes after this is where the internet's theories take over. Clips started circulating almost immediately, framing Reynolds' expression as tense or forced. Reddit threads picked apart his body language frame by frame, the same kind of scrutiny fans had previously applied to Gosling's own careful non-answers about the role, months before the official reveal. But here's the thing: there is no direct on-record statement from Reynolds targeting Gosling or the casting. No quote, no interview clip. Just a single expression that the internet decided to caption however it wanted. To understand where this theory actually gets its fuel, we have to go back to 2017.
Did Ryan do this? Like, is Ryan just not happy with the fact that they didn't announce him in the cast list? So he's out there spoiling the movie?
The Golden Globes 2017. Gosling and Reynolds were nominated in the same category that year. Gosling for La La Land, Reynolds for Deadpool. Gosling won. As he made his way toward the stage, Reynolds, seated next to Andrew Garfield, leaned in and kissed him. Not a quick peck. A long full-on kiss that instantly became the story of the night, while Blake Lively laughed along beside them. By the next morning, headlines weren't about Gosling's win at all. They were about that kiss. Andrew Garfield later confirmed the two of them had planned some kind of bit in advance, but he also admitted that, looking back, the timing made it land a little insensitively. Garfield never accused Reynolds of deliberately trying to sabotage the moment, and he remains the only person from that stage who has actually gone on record about what happened.
It's getting out of hand. Ryan, obviously there's been some kind of mistake, but I'm up here, so if you don't mind, okay.
There is also no verified record of Reynolds ever apologizing or refusing to. That detail tends to get tacked on every time this story resurfaces, stated as though it were confirmed fact, when in reality, nothing official on that front exists at all. What we do know for certain is that the moment dominated headlines the next morning more than Gosling's actual win did. And that gap between what should have been the story and what actually became the story is a big part of why people are still bringing this up nearly a decade later. Now back to this year's Comic-Con moment. Footage circulating on TikTok and X has been recut and captioned multiple ways. Some framing Reynolds' expression as tense or forced, others reading the exact same frame as him simply being his usual theatrical self on camera. Without a direct, on-record comment from Reynolds actually targeting Gosling or the casting, this entire narrative stays firmly in alleged territory. What holds up better under scrutiny is the Shawn Levy connection. Levy directed Reynolds in Free Guy, The Atom Project, and Deadpool and Wolverine, building a genuinely close creative partnership across those projects. Close enough that Levy is often described as one of the few directors who truly understands what Reynolds is going for on screen. Levy also directed Gosling in Star Wars, Starfighter, And multiple reports say the two clicked enough on that shoot that Levy is now attached to direct Gosling's Ghost Rider movie as well. Levy himself has described the two of them riffing together on set before deciding to keep working together. That's not evidence of Levy picking sides. Directors move between actors all the time, and there's no indication from anyone involved that this reflects any kind of falling out. But online, some fans have taken that timeline and spun it into a story about Reynolds losing his most reliable collaborator right as Gosling's career hits its peak. It's speculation, stacked neatly on top of a real fact.
You know, this is a character I've wanted to play for a very long time. So, Kevin, Josh Harwitz, Paul H., thank you.
There's also the ongoing argument that Reynolds is simply overexposed right now, a sentiment that shows up in comment sections under nearly every story about him, and occasionally gets folded into this theory too. The idea is that crowding Gosling's spotlight fits a broader pattern of Reynolds needing to stay visible. Some of the underlying claim is measurable. Through his advertising deals, his aviation gin and mint mobile ownership, and his constant presence on social media, Reynolds has built a massive footprint, a strategy he has actually discussed openly for years, rather than something that crept up on him by accident. Whether that saturation becomes a liability for Deadpool 4 is genuinely up for debate. Some commentary online has speculated about franchise fatigue hurting the film's box office, pointing to the general glut of superhero releases over the past few years and arguing audiences are simply tired of the formula, whoever happens to be wearing the suit. Others push back hard on that read, pointing out that Deadpool and Wolverine was a massive hit just 2 years ago, arguably one of the biggest comic book releases of that entire year, and that Reynolds still pulls a huge built-in audience regardless of critical opinion. His fans tend to show up for the character specifically, not for prestige reviews, and that pattern has now held for 3 movies running. It's worth noting that no specific flop projections for Deadpool 4 have been independently confirmed by any studio tracking service or trade outlet at this point. They're circulating mostly as opinion posts and reaction videos, so it's worth treating that talk as speculation, not settled fact, at least until real numbers exist to look at. Worth noting too, Gosling's own public behavior doesn't really support the quiet, wounded rival framing that's become so popular online. He's made lighthearted jokes about the two Ryans mix up himself across multiple press tours, including a comment about being glad one half of his household finally got to be part of the Ghost Rider franchise, a nod to his partner Eva Mendes, who starred in the original 2007 film opposite Nicolas Cage. He's also spoken openly about the years of discussions with Marvel before the role became official, describing the whole process as something he approached with genuine excitement rather than any sense of rivalry with anyone else attached to the franchise. That's a pretty different tone than someone avoiding a subject out of resentment or treating a rival's presence as an intrusion. It reads more like two people who are fully aware of the internet's obsession with comparing them and who are each, in their own way, willing to play along with the bit rather than treat it as an actual grievance worth addressing directly. If there really were tension here, it's a little strange that the person supposedly on the receiving end of it keeps bringing the whole thing up himself with a smile instead of dodging it. It's also worth asking why this particular theory took off as fast as it did. Part of it is simply timing. The Ghost Rider reveal was one of the biggest moments to come out of that entire Comic-Con weekend, and any strong reaction from a recognizable face in the crowd was always going to get clipped, captioned, and pushed through every algorithm built to reward exactly that kind of ambiguity. A tense expression reads very differently depending on the 3 words someone puts underneath it. And once one popular account frames a moment as a shot, every reaction video and comment section afterward tends to build on that same premise rather than question it. That's not unique to Reynolds or Gosling. It's simply how these stories move online now. The first framing usually wins, regardless of whether it's the most accurate one. So did Reynolds really take a shot at Ghost Rider? Based on the record, there's no confirmed quote of him criticizing the role, the casting, or Gosling directly. Not at Comic-Con and not since. What actually exists is a documented appearance where he was seen supporting the announcement, a decade-old very real Golden Globes moment that keeps getting reframed with new motives every time it resurfaces, and a fresh wave of interpretation built almost entirely on body language and old grievances rather than anything Reynolds has actually said. That doesn't make the theory completely baseless. Internet audiences have read subtext correctly before, and if an actual quote or statement surfaces later, This is exactly the kind of story that could flip fast. But right now, alleged is carrying the entire headline. And until something concrete backs it up, this looks a lot more like a story built around two famous men who happen to share a first name than a confirmed feud. One that says as much about how quickly a single clipped reaction can snowball online as it does about anything that actually happened between the two of them. So what do you think? Is there something real behind this? Or is this just the internet doing what it always does with two celebrities who happen to share a name? Let me know in the comments. If this one kept you hooked, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. I'm Amelia Brown, see you in the next video.